Canada needs Donald Trump. I know for many around the country, that's going to be an intrusive thought, but it's true. We need Donald Trump. Donald Trump, not only do we need him, he would win in an absolute landslide here in Canada. I don't even know if that's debatable. The way our country's going, the economic situation, the amount of division that we have. Watch this video here. This is from tonight. Tonight. These videos are coming up every day now in Canada. What are we doing as a country? So, look, apparently it's some group. I don't even care, to be honest. This shouldn't be happening in Canada. To be totally frank, I don't care which group is feuding with which other group. It's like Hindus and Sikhs maybe, but you can't be doing this in Canada. That looks like a chaotic scene just from a movie. What is happening? It looks like some gang warfare that would happen in a movie. That's happening in Canada all the time, things like that. And this is Donald Trump. We need this message in Canada.
Have to do to make every American feel that their safety is protected. Too many Americans are living in terrible poverty and violence. We need jobs, and we're going to produce those jobs. Racial divisions have gotten worse, not better. Too many headlines flash across our screens every day about the rising crime and
Exactly. I mean, is that not exactly happening in Canada? And then on top of that, today, this is so offensive to every young person and just every person in Canada that's struggling to get by, which is most Canadians, this policy on capping pollution.
What is a pollution cap? Well, it's a new mechanism that we're adding to our arsenal of measures to fight climate change in Canada. And basically what we're doing with that is putting a cap, literally, on the amount of pollution that the oil and gas sector can emit on any given year, and that cap will go down over time. So it's a way to make sure that regardless of what happens in the sector in terms of production, the pollution levels go down so that Canada can't make its contribution to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, not just in our country, but to contribute to the international efforts to fight climate change. What is a pollution cap?
So look, this is just, we can't be doing this in Canada right now. Even if you think that this is correct, which it's not, or I mean, it might be, but the science is not settled. They'll get all these people, they'll say, oh, the science is settled. We know climate change is definitely happening. Even if you're correct on that, you can't do this in Canada right now. We're an economic mess. Homes are completely out of control. There's so many more priorities that we need to be focusing on other than this. Take a look at this chart. I've been showing this in a few videos lately. This is United States or American states compared to Canadian provinces. We are so much poorer than them. In the 90s, we were close to them in terms of GDP per capita. Our Canadian House of Commons doesn't even talk about GDP anymore. It's pathetic. Look at this. Alberta, Saskatchewan, Newfoundland is 40th. We're already way down the list. Look at this. BC, Ontario, and Quebec. That makes up about 3/4 of the country, just about. And they're way down by the bottom. We're like basically on par with the poorest of American states. There's no reason that this should be the case. Canadians do not have good jobs. Here's Chrystia Freeland trying to say this is going to create economic growth. It's not.
We believe that our policies are both bringing down emissions and bringing good jobs to Canada and
Which is not true, Kate. Minister, since you're not going to answer, I have about a minute left.
In terms of
like
GDP, since we're here to talk about... No, you didn't actually... You didn't order...
So we have a point...
That's not true. This is not... If you're going to... Any job this type of pollution cap will create, you'll lose 2 on the other side. Why are we attacking our biggest industry, the oil and gas industry?
Minister Freeland, a brief... I want to give you a chance to answer on the GDP brief, and I'm going to go back to you, Mr. Helland, on the GDP answer you're just about to give, and then we'll go back to you.
Okay, TMX, which we're supposed to be here to talk about, is adding 0.25% to Canada's GDP. That is important. In the G7, Canada will have the second strongest GDP growth this year, and the IMF forecast.
This is what they've been saying lately. We're going to have all this growth in the future. It's been flat economy, essentially. Barely any growth, not nearly enough to keep up with rising debt, rising prices, inflation, etc. And they try to sell this, oh, we're projected to have growth in the future, though. Does anyone buy that? That's actually going to happen?
That we will have the strongest GDP growth next year, and it looks like we're achieving a soft landing after the greatest recession since the Great Depression.
Minister, just to correct your falsehood, you said 0.25% of GDP. In fact, your gas cap, oil and gas cap, is going to...
A soft landing. I mean, we just have no growth in Canada. Soft landing applies more. I mean, it applies here too. It applies more to the States. We've just had a soft economy for so long. There's really no boom and bust happening that much in Canada. It's just all been bad. Then there was the pandemic, which made it even worse, but it's not like we had this boom and bust cycle. It's just been all a bust, basically, for the last little while. And as we're doing these caps on emissions, Canadian competitiveness is just going out the window. Listen to Donald Trump.
If elected president again, what is the first thing you would do to help bring down the cost to make things more affordable?
Drill, baby, drill.
I mean, how are we going to do this in Canada to just put these emission caps on, make us less competitive? That's not going to create economic growth. It doesn't work like that. You're not just going to regulate things and make more economic growth. Any jobs that you create, you'll lose jobs on the other side. That's our biggest industry, the oil and gas industry. Canadians are struggling so bad. There's food banks. I don't need to go through this probably because you've probably heard it so many times now. Average house is close to $700,000. Pay's been flat. I mean, Canada needs to wake up and grow up. The people that are making these decisions about these carbon emissions, they should be protesting in a street somewhere, throwing soup on paintings, and just be like, okay, whatever, let them wear themselves out. We need to fix Canada. We honestly need a person like Donald Trump to come in here and say, we're not doing this anymore. We're not doing it. If you want to be like, go become an environmental lawyer or go work at Tesla or go start a new business to create technologies to capture carbon or do whatever you want. You can't just get to the government and then bully our biggest industry and say, hey, quit doing this. So, I mean, Canada needs to grow up and wake up in a major way. We are struggling in so many ways. With that, I'll finish the video, though. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and have a great day.